Good morning, everyone. So we've got the war in Ukraine. We've got escalations on the ground. We've got Keir Starmer saying he's going to put boots on the ground, aircraft in the air. We've got Donald Trump stopping all arms shipments to Ukraine. We have got incidents in Germany. We've got incidents in Vienna. And then we've got some absolutely crazy stuff happening on the streets in Paris. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, tell me if you've ever lived through a more insane time. Before we get into all of that, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to go onto the share map and I'm going to walk around Ukraine and tell you what I think the next likely big moves are. The other day, in the Trump-Zelensky, in the Trump-Zelensky, can I call it an interview? In the Trump-Zelensky briefing, President Zelensky said that the Russians would strike the Baltics next. We're going to talk about that. Also, we're going to talk about how I think that the next logical target would be Poland or potentially both of them at the same time. So let's just go to the share map and have a look what is going on out in Ukraine, if I can find it. There we are. In fact, no, wrong way. Hang on, guys. Let me just put this up. Obviously, I turned up today unprepared. Right, here we are. There we are. Okay, so as normal, ladies and gentlemen, you've got this red bit here, which is the border here, which is the 2013 Ukrainian border. So you see this bit has been occupied by the Russians, obviously. Sorry, not obviously. And this Crimean Peninsula here. So let's zoom into the point of the main fighting, which is in and around Pokrovsk. Where's Pokrovsk gone? There it is. Now, this is the situation on the ground as of the 4th of last month. So just under a month, a month ago. I'm going to zoom forwards now. Every day, every click is a day in temporal, is a 24-hour period. So you can see the Russians really are taking a lot of ground in that region every day. And there's no stopping them now. What I don't think a lot of people understand is the size of this border. People are talking about boots on the ground, and even with the best military in the world, this border, we measured it the other day, it's 700. In fact, no, we didn't. We only measured from here, didn't we? The border is actually a lot bigger. But this front line, I guess, here, we measured that as 770 kilometers. Now, what I'm going to do real quick, I'm just going to measure the Belarusian border here, because I do think at some point these guys are going to get involved. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the ruler. Let's just go one. I know this is going to be wrong, ladies and gentlemen, but it's just an estimate. It is just an estimate at this point. So there is the Russian. Right, so that is 689 kilometers. Now, if we join this up to the whole of where could be fighting, remember, this is the Russian border now. And again, I understand that this is very, very rushed. Right, so that's an extra. So we're looking like a front line here, a potential front line of 2,000 kilometers. Answer me this question, ladies and gentlemen: how many troops would you need to secure a border of, a border of 2,000 kilometers? Now, when Zelensky is saying that the Baltics could be involved, we've got the Baltic Sea here. You've got this area here called Kaliningrad. This is Russian. You've got I think there's Lithuania and then Poland to the south, which borders, obviously, you've got Belarus here. So what the theory is, that the Russians or the Belarusians, on order of the Russians, may make a land grab there, which is only 71 kilometers. Yes, that sounds feasible, because this area here, it's just open territory. There's nothing there. It's just open fields. It would be very easy. It would only take a couple of hours for the Belarusian military to push through there and connect a land corridor to the Baltic Sea. In that context, In that context, you would have the Russians would have a land corridor through Belarus into the Baltic Sea, which is, obviously advantageous for the Russians. Now, I'm not convinced that that would be his first move. I think the first place to get, because this, don't forget, this wouldn't be, there'd be no fighting here. This would just be literally a steamroll through. There'd be no resistance there, absolutely zero. And there's no point to have any resistance there either. Now, though, if we're talking about kinetic strikes, this area here of this town city, I guess, of Rzeszów, this is the closest international airport to the Ukraine-Russian border. Now, I'm told that a lot of logistics, a lot of NGOs, a lot of military are stationed in Rzeszów, and a lot of logistics are obviously there waiting to go over the border. Now, if anywhere is going to get hit, I believe Rzeszów is the storage facilities in and around Rzeszów. And like I've said many times, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me, I don't believe that the Ukrainian F-16s are being flown from inside Ukraine. I believe they're being flown from outside of Ukraine. Katowice, here's a place they could be flown from, but, I genuinely don't know. Now, I would suspect that Vladimir Putin knows where they're being flown from. And I would say as well that that is a fair target for the Russians. If aircraft are flying from these airfields, and the Russians strike them, that is a fair strike, because those aircraft are hindering their war effort. Now, that's not obviously to say I'm a Russian bro. I'm just telling you guys the situation on the ground. So what else have we got then? In the last 24 hours, it has been absolutely insane. So we've got 2 people in Germany now that have been, there was a car incident where, I'll just read this to you guys, okay? 2 dead after car drives into crowd in Germany. 2 people, an 83-year-old woman and a 54-year-old man, have been killed after a vehicle drove into a pedestrian area in the city of Mannheim in Western Germany. So, authorities arrested a lone suspect, a 40-year-old German man who is not believed to be extremist, but shows concrete indications of mental illness. Isn't this the problem? It's always mental health, mental illness. I guess this guy who drove the car he's the real victim, because the German authorities failed him. And then paradoxically, we had, and I still can't get to the bottom of this, ladies and gentlemen, Vienna train station evacuated as unspecified threat sparks havoc in Austrian capital. Now, the incident's closed without incident, if that makes sense. But what we can take from this is just how on high alert all the authorities are in Europe, and I would suspect in the United Kingdom as well. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, it's only a matter of time before these things start happening to the United Kingdom. The United States are suspending all weapons sales, U.S. military aid into Ukraine. If you've been following this channel, I've been saying this is going to come. I said, literally, go back through my videos. They're all on public. I forgot how to start. They're all on public record. I've been saying since 2023 that the United Kingdom will take the lead role in Ukraine, leading what's left of NATO. And I've always said, it's not going to be NATO, because the United States are not going to be involved. Now, there's people in the United States saying that the United States can pull out of NATO. I don't know if that's a thing. For the United States, for any country to leave leave NATO, that would have to go through Congress. There'd have to be a vote on it. Now, I don't know if Donald Trump can pull that off himself by signing executive orders. I'm not going to listen, and I'm certainly not going to rule anything out. But what you can see is all the things I've been saying now, ladies and gentlemen. The United States have to go on. Well, they don't have to. The United States are going to go into the Middle East March 2026, and you'll start to see that rhetoric build up now. So the United States suspended all U.S. military aid to Ukraine in wake of Trump-Zelensky row. Decisions affect ammunition, vehicles, and other equipment, including weapons in transit. That's an interesting one. So even weapons in transit have been blocked. The Middle East now, we've got Israel kills 2 in Gaza, Trump envoy, and I'll put all these links in the description, ladies and gentlemen. Israel kills 2 in Gaza, Trump envoy to return to the Middle East. Listen, some of the, like, I can remember when Edward Snowden was on Joe Rogan and he said the biggest conspiracies are not the ones done behind closed doors. They're not the ones done in hidden back rooms. They're the ones that get congressional approval. They're the ones that come out and, they're blatant for everyone to see. And for me, this Gaza, the Trump Gaza thing, where Donald Trump said, we're going to do a real job with it. We're going to take Gaza. We're going to own it. We're going to take, and I just thought, wow, I wonder what the Gazans think of that. I wonder if they're going to accept that. And then you see all this rhetoric now by the Israelis not letting any temporary accommodation in. Listen, this is happening right now, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to see, maybe not now, maybe not next week, but at some point soon, certainly this year, you're going to see this conflict in the Middle East flare up again. And then all those people who are saying, oh, Trump and JD Vance, they just want peace. They just want peace around the world. I'm going to come back to you and I'm going to ask those same people, okay, you said Trump and Vance want peace. How do you explain this? Ladies and gentlemen, listen, I believe this has all been planned for a long time. I don't want to put my tinfoil hat on. I just want to tell you what's happening now, give you the facts, and tell you guys what's coming next. And then we've got this absolute insanity here. I am going to have to share. Oh, there's too many ads. I'll put the link in the description, guys, all right? So I'm just going to read this off the screen. Left-wing theatre managers who invited 200 migrants to a free show will abandon the building and face bankruptcy as refugees still refuse to leave after 3 months and spark a wave of sex-related violence. I mean, I'm not laughing at that, guys. It's just absurd, isn't it? It's absolutely absurd, the situation we find ourselves in here in Europe. And to be honest, ladies and gentlemen, we really have done this ourselves. Like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, right now, you have seen nothing yet. Things are going to escalate worse and worse and worse. This war in Europe is going to escalate. It's going to drag British troops on the ground inevitably. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to Mac to Grid and I'll get you guys another video later.